Hello. TGIF. It's Friday, people. Good afternoon, Jack. Good afternoon, Trogdor. Hello, Amin. Howdy, Link. Can we get some banjo today? Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. Hold on a second. We're gonna have to pause those jams. Do I run a music store? Basically. Freebird! Oh man, banjo is the best. Last of Us vibe. Lost Woods. Wait, how does that go? Mumford and Sons, yeah. Actually, I don't know any Mumford and Sons. Play Wonderwall. Hey, good morning, D-Stratus. Amin says, I got a question about 3A. How can we have a first order system if we're looking for a specific settling time? Isn't 2% settling time just for second order systems? No, it's not just for second order. Every system has a settling time. The general definition is just the time it takes to wherever you start from, get 98% closer to your final destination. So in homework 3, we actually have the homogeneous response, and we're starting at 1. So the 98% settling time is the time it takes to go from 1 to 0.02, basically, because that's 98% of the way to 0, starting from 1. Guys, today we're going to review, there's no handout for today, but we're going to review for exam, or the midterm exam. Nookus says, just figured out 4.3 for lab 1. Took me longer than I'd like to admit. That is all right. That is all right. The banjo's the happiest instrument there is. Or one of the happiest instruments. Okay, we might break this out more later. But we'll get into some review. Sarah's theme, Ocarina of Time, is the base of the Lost Woods theme. Oh my goodness. I really love Zelda music. It's close to my heart. Is this going to turn into a gaming channel after the midterm? We could. We certainly could. Okay, let's get this thing set up. All of the homework solutions are up, by the way, at this point. Class-wide Minecraft server? That does sound fun. 24-hour chess stream. We could do some chess. I can also steal my wife's Nintendo Switch and plug it in here. We can play RuneScape? I don't know if I've told you this, guy. I know some of you already know this, but RuneScape was my jam growing up. I'm talking about the original RuneScape. Old school Rune. No, I think it was before 2007. Actually, I'm not sure, but I'm talking about the original. I don't even think you can find it anymore. You still had the $5 membership? That takes me back. Oh. I have a story for you guys. I have a RuneScape story. Okay, it's pretty short, so I'm gonna tell it. So I must have been maybe a 6th grader. So I don't know what year that was. But RuneScape was... The original was when I was like in 6th grade or something. Maybe 7th grade. And... there was a point in the game, like they have different materials for armor. Like you can make material like bronze armor, steel, iron, mithril, adamantium or something. Anyways, they released rune, a new material. Like now rune's old, okay? There's like way more materials, but back in the day, rune was like it was like, oh my god, this is something new. And they came out with different rune things, one thing at a time. Like the first they came out with was like a medium helmet, like a small helmet for your head. They came out with some leg armor, and then they came out with a rune hatchet. And the graphics at this point were really poor. And even if you had a rune hatchet, it looked like a battle axe. And it's like this cool teal color. Actually, this isn't teal. And, okay, so I was walking around this town, and there was somebody who had like one of the first rune hatchets. And he was like talking to somebody else in the RuneScape world, and he was like, hey, give me all of your armor, and what I'll do in exchange is I'll let you hold on to this rune hatchet for a little bit, and then we'll trade back after you. So like basically you like leave your credit card here just to make sure you don't run away with my rune hatchet, right? So I'm watching him. I watched somebody give this guy with the rune hatchet. He gives him all his armor, and then the other guy gives him the rune hatchet to hold for a little bit, and it's like, oh, this is cool. And so it's like, oh, I'm gonna do that next. And so what I did is I gave this guy with the rune hatchet, I gave him all of my stuff. And remember, I'm like a 6th grader. I've been playing this for like a year, and I've had like some armor and stuff, and I give it all. And then the person doesn't give me the rune hatchet, and then he logs out. Just took all my stuff. And it was like a scam that these people had worked out together. And it broke my sixth grader heart. I know. But me and my brothers, we also scammed people in RuneScape too, so you can't feel too bad for me. Yeah, I think all of us have been scammed as kids in one way or another. Yeah, Pokemon cards. Oh, good grief. That's why I have trust issues. Okay, guys, let's talk about the exam a little bit. First of all, let's turn the music down just a little bit here. The exam is tomorrow, Saturday. And it's going to be on UB Learns. Okay, so that's Saturday. It's on UB Learns. And so we'll get into the format a little bit. But basically, don't worry about this exam. This isn't something you should be stressing over. It covers content from homework 1 through homework 3. Dr. E, I'll trim your banjo, and you can hold on to the A I'm going to get in this class as collateral. You're taking me back to a traumatic experience from my childhood, and I just can't go there. So it's going to be stuff that you've seen before. Similar types of problems. There's 7 problems on the exam. And let me think. Like some of them are shorter. They're like a multiple choice sort of thing. So I want to say like 2 or 3 multiple choice. And then like 4 longer problems. But they're not especially long. Like this is going to take between 1 and 2 hours. Pika. Does this mean we're expected to use MATLAB? You can use MATLAB, but I wouldn't say it's expected. You don't need MATLAB to solve any of the problems. I mean, you're going to need some sort of calculator. But I will say you don't have to use MATLAB to do this. You can. Are we scanning our work for longer works for partial credit? Yes. So going back to the format here. So I said there's 7 problems. Like what's going to happen when you go to UB Learn? Yes. So if you took flight dynamics, it's going to be like the flight dynamics exam. So let me explain that. Like you're going to be able to see all of your test problems at once. Like maybe this will be your web browser on UB Learn. So like 1, 2, 3, 4, blah, blah, blah. But each problem, all I'm going to give you is a hyperlink. And what you do is, so for problem 1, you're going to see a link. You click on this link, and it's going to open a PDF for you. It's going to go to a box drive where I have this particular problem saved as a PDF. So So you'll have the problem as a PDF, and it's kind of looks like the format of when I give you a homework problem. It's going to like look written out that way in LaTeX. And then what you're going to do, no, you don't need Lockdown Browser. So then what you're going to do for each problem is you're going to treat it like a homework problem where you like write out your solution, and then you're going to scan that and upload a file. All right, so for each of these problems, you upload a scanned file of your work. So it's like you're doing a homework submission for each problem. Like it's going to be a separate PDF that you submit for each. It's going to ask you to upload a file. So even if it's a multiple choice question, you can show your work. So you're still going to upload a PDF for that, actually. Okay, let's see. If we use MATLAB, we have to publish and submit it too, right? So if you're going to use MATLAB, you need to include all of your code in your PDF submission for that particular problem. So Squared Circle says, can we screenshot it? Benny's said, do we have to publish it? I guess either way is okay with me, whether you take a screenshot or whether you publish the MATLAB output, but it all needs to be there. And I would always say err on the side of showing too much work. If you have a question for me like, should I show this step? Then probably show it, just to be safe. If we use MATLAB just as a higher level calculator, should we still submit our code? No, like if you're just crunching some numbers, no. But KT Feeney said, could we maybe discuss homework 2 solution for 2C and 2D? Yeah, we can come back to that. Benny says, we can open these files multiple times, right? Like we don't have to finish it in one sitting. No. So the nice thing is, you're going to be able to see all these problems at once, and you can like start one and then be like, okay, I'm stuck. And then open a different one, so you can keep coming back to different problems. So it's not like you start one and then you have to finish that one problem before you go on to the next. You'll be able to see all the problems at once, and you can like go between them. Trouter says, will you be available at any point on Saturday through Sunday just in case any questions arrive? Yes. So maybe I'll open this document. Yeah, because Belkut, there are times, but yeah, let's open this up anyways. Check your email, Evil Ed. Are we going to be able to close and reopen the questions multiple times? Yes, I mean, yes, you can. All right, I'm just looking for this. Just looking for this thing of guidelines to show you. You think there might be a small mistake in the homework 2 solution? Really? That could be. Which problem? Okay, I'm just opening up this cover sheet here because this has some guidelines. I think you have an extra lambda d on the characteristic equation for number 4. Okay, we gotta make sure we go back to that. Okay, so these are the same guidelines I just sent you in an email, all right? So it comes out Saturday at 10 a.m. You have to make sure you have everything in by Sunday, by 11:50 a.m. And be careful because that daylight savings thing is switching over Sunday morning, which is a double-edged sword because it means we lose an hour of sleep, but magically our day is going to feel like it becomes 1 hour longer. So it's a win overall. But just be careful of that final time. You can take as much time as you need. It's not like you don't have to just limit yourself to 1 hour or something. So you can take what you need. But this is something I need to drive home with you, okay? You have to be very careful. Academic integrity for this exam means you need to follow the guidelines that I'm giving you. Most importantly, collaboration or discussion of any kind is strictly prohibited. So that means you cannot talk to anybody in this class or outside of this class about the exam. If you have a question, if you get stuck, your only resources are going to, well, we'll get to this. It's open book and open notes. So, I mean, you can go to all of that. But the only person that you can contact about this exam is me. All right? So you have to shoot me an email. So there shouldn't be any communication on the Discord server. I love our Discord server. Can I console with... You can talk to animals. Okay, there is an exception. You can't talk to any people. You can talk to animals or, like, trees and stuff. Shoot, what was I going to say? So, oh yeah, Discord. I love our Discord server because you guys are so helpful to each other. And it's really great. But I might disable the Discord server for the weekend or something like that. I know, I love our server. But yeah, there shouldn't be any... Is my sage plant okay? That's okay. T. Jackson, your dog is excellent at digital controls. Then I guess you're going to have an edge. Where can we post our memes? You're just going to have to save up your memes until Monday. So yeah, you can't talk to anybody. And so I know we're joking, but I need to be serious. If I find out that you have collaborated with somebody, there's always a couple cases each semester. There's not very many. But in those cases where it does happen, the consequences are severe. So, and this is part of why I'm telling you, like, this exam isn't something you should be crazy stressed about either. Because I think it's the stress that drives us to reach out for resources that aren't permitted. So just don't stress. Like, this exam is submit memes instead of exam. This exam is worth 20% of the final grade, which is really... It's not... There's so much more to this course, and it would be better for you to bomb this exam than for me to find out that you collaborated, okay? Because there's always ways to work back. So just don't worry about it. Take the test on your own, even if you're struggling. I don't think you're going to struggle like crazy, because it's like stuff you've seen in the class. OMG, 20% is a lot, actually. For an exam, we only have one exam in this course, though. There's like a lot of courses where 60% of your grade is tests. 80% of this course is like projects and homework. So, I mean, this exam, big picture. Okay, so open book and open note, but with a limit. So you can use any materials that I've provided to you as part of the course. So that means any notes that we have, any homework solutions I posted, any videos, like any lectures, you can go back to any lecture. You can use any textbook. But you can't just search the general internet, go anywhere, okay? So that's what I mean by open book and open notes. And you can't post any of your questions, obviously. Will the solution for homework 3 be posted? I did post it. Homework 3 solution is up. You could fail the exam and get an A. Yeah, I think technically that's possible. Can I use other textbooks? Well, I'm going to say no. I'm going to say no. I'm going to say no other textbooks. Okay. So you can email me. I'm gonna have 2 times where I'm just I'm gonna have 2 times where I'm just gonna be devoted to answering emails. So Saturday from 12 p.m. to 1 p.m. So that's 2 hours after the exam start. So I suggest like right at 10 a.m. start the exam so that if you run into any questions, you can shoot them to me before this window, and then I'll get back to you. And then Sunday morning, I'll get back on the email to like catch up. And I might drop in more times than this, but this is just the plan. Trogdor says, I'm a little worried with this exam because I haven't received feedback for homework 2 and homework 3. Yeah, I hear you. The feedback on homework 2, that comes down to me. That's my fault. Because I was slow getting up the homework 2 solution and getting it to the graders. But I will say this. You can now look at those solutions that I posted. You can, I think the best way to prepare for this is like go back to the homework and try to remember like, hey, what did I not understand? Where did I get stuck? And try to work through that and let yourself struggle with that. And then if you can't find your way out of it, go to the solution, see what approach I was using. Not that what I do is the only way to do it. Yeah. So I hear you. Okay. Yeah. So don't stress. Don't stress. I really think it's going to be okay. These problems are not some crazy surprise. Is the Franklin textbook okay since you recommended it? Yes. So like any books that I included in the syllabus, any books I included in the syllabus are totally okay. Any other tips for the exam? Are the homework solutions fair game for the open book policy? Yes. Like I even listed in here, like it is okay to look at your homework and the homework solutions that I posted. I mean, really I think there's all the resources you could need. What chapters in the book have we covered? I'd have to dig a little bit to be exactly sure, but I think it's like the first 3 or 4 chapters of Franklin. Same for the Ogata textbook. Any chapters that are just covering discrete system roots. Okay, let's list. Should we have good plotting paper / Z grids? Okay, well, we're going to give a list here of content that you definitely should know how to do. Is it okay to look up online something not covered in this course, like a basic algebra concept? No. You should think of this exam as like you're going into an actual testing room where I'm watching you like a hawk the whole time. And all that you're allowed to bring is your notebook of course materials. And I peek over your shoulder, and if I find that you have a Nancy Drew mystery in there, some unrelated course materials, then I'm going to take it out of your notebook and rip it in half. And then I'm going to throw a tantrum. Okay. Let's list some topics you need to be able to cover. This is what you should expect to see. No playing RuneScape. Yeah, that's obvious. I'm gonna if you bring a Nancy Drew mystery with you to the test, I'm gonna run it over with a longboard. Yeah. Will the Z transform be included in the exam? No, because it's not. That was after. That wasn't included in homework 1 through 3. Okay, you need to be able to derive the characteristic equation of a difference equation. Does the exam have to be completed in one sitting? No. So, I mean, you actually... But I suggest do it in one... I mean, you can... Well, we're really getting... I mean, I do think it's good to, like, take a break. I mean, if you want to take a break and play RuneScape, that's okay. But really, I'm holding you to your honor to follow the rest of these guidelines. Okay. Okay. Okay, here we go. Determine if a difference equation is stable or unstable. Okay, how about this? Based on roots of a difference equation. So this is going to be going backwards. Derive the difference equation itself. This is like homework 1 stuff. I mean, who's to say our break isn't watching algebra videos for fun? I'm JKing, please don't be mad. Too late, I'm mad. Okay, here we go. Based on position of roots in the complex plane, be able to compare the following. Settling time, frequency of oscillation, damping ratio, and overshoot. So basically, having an idea of if I move roots around in the complex plane, depending on their location, can I describe how the behavior of these roots is different in terms of these kinds of characteristics we described. Because remember we said we need to have specific language to talk about what the different behavior is like. And these are some of these categories. What does it say after derived difference equation for the second dot? Second dot. Oh, geez. Derived difference equation itself. So if you have some roots, can you give me the difference equation that those roots came from? Okay. So here's something that we've spent some time doing. If you look at like a graph, like a step response, or maybe it's an initial condition response where it's just going to 0. Looking at graphs like this, so looking at a response, you should be able to determine overshoot, settling time, rise time, damped natural frequency, peak time, yeah, like homework 2. So you should be able to, like any kinds of transient characteristics we covered regarding an underdamped second order response, you should be able to pick those out looking at the graph. All right. And then next, so given that, derive the continuous time roots that correspond to those characteristics. And then derive the discrete time roots. Given a sampling frequency or a sampling period. Excuse me. And so that's mostly homework 2 stuff. Okay, there's also going to be some homework 3 stuff. So based on performance equality or inequality constraints, you should be able to fill a Z-grid with the acceptable region for each constraint. All right. And you should be able to go, yeah. So like given a settling time constraint, like I say, the settling time needs to be less than 3 seconds. Do you have an idea of what that constraint looks like in the complex plane? If I were to say the settling time needs to be greater than something, do you know what that looks like? And then do the same with like an overshoot. For the last one, can we use our MATLAB code from homework 3? Yes, I don't have a problem with that. So it is okay if you leverage code that you've used to help with these problems. My printer isn't printing black. Should I hand draw my Z-grid or can we use MATLAB? Yeah, so you can use MATLAB. Can you go over that if there's time today? Homework 3 stuff? Possibly. But we don't have too much time left today. Okay, let me just make sure I'm hitting everything here. I think this is a good overview. I think this is a good overview. Okay, so wait. Pika was saying there might be an error in one of the homework solutions I posted. Wait, on characteristic equation for 4. Let me see something here. Oh, just a notation error. Let me just pull it up. So yeah, so the homework solutions are posted on UB Learns next to the homework. So you can like go through this. But what I would suggest is this is just like an exam preparation tip. I know at this point in your career you guys have taken a lot of exams, but you should practice as much as you can without using any tools to assist you. So basically, like I would go through homework 2 again and just have a sheet of paper in front of me, no notes open, no MATLAB, and just go as far as I can with each problem. And maybe you reach a point in a problem where, okay, there needs to be some calculations here, but I know exactly what I have to calculate. So training yourself to solve these problems as well as you can and as quickly as you can without assistance, that's a good way to prepare. So like you can see these first 2 problems, I'm not using MATLAB or anything. This one obviously you do. Okay, let's go to problem 4. What did I do? Oh, okay, that's an error. This is an error. This should not say lambda d. Wait, and I didn't even set this equal to 0. This is sloppy. And you know what I would do to myself on this homework? I would say, boom, -2. And then I'd come back and email myself and I'd be like, wait, come on, you know what I mean? And they'd be like, well, it's not what you wrote. Okay. Bam. Okay, I think. Okay, so I didn't see this one. This one I would give myself. I'd say, okay, well done. +2. Okay, so I'll go back and fix that. Okay, we do. I'm trying to think of like the best way. Is there a consensus in the class on some topic that's just not clear that you'd like me to spend like 5 minutes on maybe? I mean, it's different for everybody, but I don't know if there's maybe a homework 3. It says Shrek. Two C and 2D. Wait, two? Are you talking about two? You're not talking about this. What being inside out? Okay, in and outside the ranges. 2C and 2D on homework 3. Oh, okay. Let's see. So like this second system that has to have a settling time less than 3 seconds. You're talking about this one, right? Not Z-plane, I mean the graph we made in homework 3. Wait, let me see what Carl said. You mean the graph? Wait, which graph? Okay, let's walk through this. So yeah, this is the Z-plane. This is the Z-plane. So the Z-plane is just another name for the complex plane when it's referring to discrete time root locations. Okay, let's talk about this problem a little bit. So there were two constraints. There was the settling time for the system needs to be between 1 and 3 seconds. It has to be less than 3 but greater than 1. Anytime you have a settling time constraint, and I would go back, I forget which day this lecture was, but I actually derive why the settling time constraint is what I'm about to say now. It's a constraint on the magnitude of the root. That's why we have a circle here. So the closer a root is to the origin, the faster it will settle in terms of the number of steps it takes to settle. So this outer boundary of the donut is the 3-second constraint. And if I have to be less than 3, I need to be inside of that boundary. But if I say the settling time has to be greater than 1 second, this inner circle is the 1 second constraint. So if I go inside this circle, my settling time is going to be less than 1 second. So I have to be outside of this inner circle. And that's why the settling time constraint makes a donut in this case, because I'm less than 3, but I'm greater than 1. Okay, now, and I would go back, yeah, February 23rd. Okay, I would go back to that lecture. Because I know we built this code together to make these nice plots, but there's I would also try to acquaint yourself with the formulas that we used in the first place to get these plots. So don't just be agile with this particular code. I would actually take some time and be like, wait, do I understand how we developed this code? Because I know we we built it really quick. And I'm not talking about like, do I know in terms of the MATLAB fundamentals? I'm talking about, do I know the math that we were using to make this? So I would suggest taking a peek at that as well. All right. The other constraint was something on the rise time. So I think we said the rise time needs to be approximately equal to 0.8 seconds. Do we need to make annotations on the plot similar to how you have in pink? Well, I think that the more... I put these annotations to make it clear. Like, for example, like these arrows that I drew here, I'm making it clear that to have a rise time of around 0.8, I need to be like on this line. So you should be pointing out like, and I'm giving points here because in the directions it says, I want you to label what these are, which the legend suffices as a label for telling me. But you should also indicate like where the proper region for the roots is. Because just because you show the constraints here and they're all shaded in, that doesn't mean that you know where the region is that satisfies all the constraints. Because I've had students before who draw all these nice shaded regions and those are correct, but then they don't know where to pick the roots so that all the constraints are satisfied. So even if something seems kind of obvious to you, perhaps, like I would point it out. Always err on the side of showing too much work. Okay, so in terms of drawing this exact rise time contour, the rise time is a function of the damping ratio, the natural frequency, and the damped natural frequency. And it's hard. Drawing this by hand, I wouldn't recommend it. If I were, so I wouldn't expect people to like be able to draw this rise time condition by hand. In terms of settling time, though, there's a lot you can deduce just from this circle, and it's very intuitive, the meaning of this. I just put a note in my code that the region is where all the conditions overlap. Is that okay? It is, but you should just make it very obvious. As obvious as you can. Yeah. But that's what's going on here. To go into the details of how you construct this rise time line, you're going to have to go back to that lecture and see how we developed it. It has a couple steps. Something I would like to point out, can you only have overshoot with imaginary roots? Yes, with there's an exception. Okay, let me get to this. So I want to point this out to you guys. You see the Z-grid contours on here in the back, like you have the heart shapes, but you also have like these kind of longitude lines or whatever that go up and down. So it's good to know what these numbers mean on here. So on these, like, let's call them latitude, these more horizontal ones, these numbers are the damping ratio. So if you pick roots on this line with a 0.9, they have a damping ratio of 0.9. The overshoot is related to the damping ratio. So this is a quick way to look at the graph and be like, well, I mean, there's a specific formula, but generally, or always, the more damping you have, the less overshoot you have. So I have higher damping towards the center, I have more overshoot. I mean, less overshoot. When I have a damping ratio of 0.1, I have more overshoot. So these lines give you a ton of information about overshoot and damping ratio. These longitude lines, the ones that are going vertically, these are the lines of constant natural frequency. So, I mean, you don't have to worry too much about this because we didn't talk too much about it. But the natural frequency is increasing as these lines migrate over to the left. And we did talk about the trend that as the angle relative to the positive real axis, as that angle increases and moves over here towards pi, the damped natural frequency is increasing. Oh, but then you ask, can you only have overshoot with imaginary roots? The exception is, I love that you use the Ardashir emote. The exception is if you have a root on the negative real axis. Go back to the homework 3 solution because I talk about this. Any root on the negative real axis is going to have overshoot. Because it has that jagged oscillation pattern. Like if we go down, because, okay, take problem 3. If you look at the region of the acceptable roots, you could make this a first order system. Will you get points off on homework 3 for selecting a negative real root? No. No, because I neglected to mention this, but you never, ever, ever want to pick a root on the negative real axis. And I list some explanations here, but basically it has this terrible behavior where the oscillations are really jagged. It's going to put a lot of wear on your actuator. But I plot down here oh, this is an unfortunate slice in the figures. Anyways, this plot on the left is with the root on the negative real axis, and it's just it has a huge overshoot. The point goes down to minus 0.48 or something. I don't know. So it has a terrible overshoot. It oscillates every sample. And it gets even worse the higher your sampling rate is, because it's always going to alternate every other sample. So it's actually better in this case to choose a second order system. But okay, I gotta run in 2 minutes. But, okay, what I would say is, don't worry too much. I think you're well prepared. I think you're well prepared. So I'll believe in your dreams. So would the preferred order of choosing roots be 1 real positive root greater than second order roots greater than real negative? Yes, Pika. Can you play a banjo song to raise our spirits? Maybe. Let's see. What do I need? supposed to be out of tune, you know. Wait, Kate says it has to have an imaginary component to be second order. That's not true, because you could have two real roots and be second order. Hey, you're welcome, BJ Reiner. How do we find the frequency of oscillation? Can't seem to find it in my notes. You mean like from a graph? Hey Doc, what's your take on the Mumford & Sons banjoist getting the boot? He got the boot? What picking style is that? I'm not sure exactly. I think I'm using forward rolls and like it depends on which way like you're traveling, like down that way or like back up this way. Guys, I would love to stay for a little longer, take some more questions, play some more banjo, but I have some office hours for MAE 334. So I gotta run over there. Wait, so for complex conjugate roots, do we also want the real part to be positive? That's a great question. When I say don't pick a negative real root, I mean a purely negative real root. It's okay if you have a complex root with like a negative real part. That's not as bad. And it's not necessarily bad, but something that's like always bad is a purely negative real root. All right. Talk to you guys soon. I'll send you like another reminder announcement about the test. Can I tell you what you missed pertaining to the exam? I don't have time right now, but the video is going to be right here on Twitch right after. So it's going to be posted right here. So maybe somebody could send you the link on Discord if you can't find the video, but it'll be right here on Twitch, so you can find it. Okay.